Greetings Internet, Didier here, and welcome to the first inaugural episode of SWU at Home, where I'm going to be bringing people into my home to play Star Wars Unlimited, starting of course by playing my wife. Now, don't let our identical last names fool you. Cynthia is an accomplished player herself, having top 8'd at a Stores Showdown in Season 1, with this deck that you're seeing here, this ECL Cassian. I'm going to be running my blue Mandalorian that I just released a deck profile with. So this is a casual game between husband and wife. Hopefully there will be no bloodshed. There will surely be bloodshed. As we start out here, I think I'm starting out with initiative. Yes, I'm starting out with initiative here on the Mando side. Looks like going to send a mulligan back. Don't like what I see there. So now this Cassian deck that Cynthia has been playing since she first decided to play Star Wars Unlimited. She loves Cassian as a character. So, and don't let Cassian being kind of a fringe or tier 2 personality take away from the power of this deck. Hero Red ECL, of course, is a powerhouse with Poe and Wrecker. Cassian never runs out of gas with Poe, and always seems to find multiple Poes and multiple for a causes. So we're going to start out here, again with initiative, dropping the C-3PO. Not the best play against an aggro deck. Of course, naming 2 and not getting the card draw. Not the best play against an aggro deck, because C-3PO is not going to stand up to too much of the early game units. Cynthia dropping down Battlefield Marine, and then myself claiming initiative. So starting out in the next turn here, does look like we drew a Captain Typho. So that Captain Typho is going to help us out to push and squeeze a little extra value out of the C-3PO play. Of course, because the C-3PO is not adding too much value with the 1 damage, not good for tempo unless I start upgrading it. But it does survive into the Battlefield Marine, so that is worthy to note, and I'm definitely going to consider that in this next upcoming turn. So Cynthia taking some time here to resource. Probably a pretty difficult choice. It is early game, and thinking your curve out is hard to do on these first early stages of the game. So, of course, I'm probably going to just straight up open with that Captain Typho. Yep, straight up open with that Captain Typho. Give C-3PO Sentinel. Makes sense here. Just stop that 3 damage from the Battlefield Marine from coming in and forcing her to either ECL into me or just not do any damage into my base this turn. So, of course, the Mandalorian wanting to slow down the game early game, getting to that 6 deploy, and then also just slowing down the game in general while it builds up its board and the upgrades on the units in order to push in heavy damage into the mid-game. I've played this matchup a lot with Cynthia, dropping down the Cassian here, which seems like a bad play, but actually might be a pretty good play because, again, she wasn't getting in damage into the base this turn unless she ECL'd. She didn't want to blow the ECL. And then just dropping down a high value play like Cassian's good to get power on the board. Me swinging in for 1 damage and not getting the draw again, probably a misplay there. I probably should have just claimed and left off the 1 damage, since I did have the Sentinel up and immediately got the Sentinel with Typho again next phase, forcing again the answer onto the C-3PO, but we'll have to see what ends up happening here. I did draw into another Captain Typho, so that is significant there. If something does happen to this one, I can drop down another one. So thinking about resourcing, yep, going into the 4 turns, so expect to see the ECL get blown pretty soon. Of course, these 2 mid-rangey decks, 2 decks that are fighting for damage onto the base, using that ECL pretty early. Yep, here it comes. Here's the ECL, likely for K2, I assume. Yep, going with the K2 into Captain Typho. Great play here. take out Captain Typho, put some damage on K2, and then stop my ability to activate the Sentinel. So, of course, we do have that other Captain Typho in my hand, so certainly can drop that down this turn right now if I wanted to just, again, stop the onslaught onto my base. I also do have a Perilous Position, so that is another option for me to do. Either of them, 3 cost, so not exactly on curve, but still stopping the damage to my base. Thinking about which play to do here, probably a pretty tough choice. I almost feel like Captain Typho would be the best choice. She would need to then... It does look like Cynthia has a timely intervention in her hand, which is definitely going to be relevant. Cynthia actually plays 3 timely interventions in this Cassian deck, which makes sense with the crazy combos that you have with Wrecker and Poe, and the drawing from Cassian lets you just have a monster of a late game with all those timely interventions. So we're going to see the Perilous here. Whether or not this is a good play or not, I'm not sure. I'm still learning when is best to Perilous, but we are going to get the double tap to tap down both. Again, Typho was in my hand as well. I could have dropped down Typho and just given C-3PO Sentinel, getting in the 1 damage here and getting the draw from Electro Staff. Oh, I do always call 2 with C-3PO in this deck. Of course, as soon as I double tapped her unit, Cynthia claimed, as she should there, and have open board with that K2. So I do have no damage on my base, so technically I am 7 damage ahead of in this base race right now, but Cynthia has a monster board compared to me going into the 5 resource turn. She did already use ECL, so we're not going to see Poe ECL this turn, but we'll have to see what Cynthia ends up doing with those 5 resources. So, of course, that Perilous Position is going to stay on Cassian. I did have another option, too. I could have just Perilous Positioned on K2 to kill K2, which, hindsight, again, still learning how to play this deck. I do think that would probably be the better play if I decided on the Perilous there. Yes, I would have taken 3 damage, but then she would not have this K2 open on the board, ready to deal 4 damage to my base, and then just take something out later. But board is looking pretty good for Cynthia. Of course, she has to swing with K2 first. Into the base, she's going. Has to swing with K2 first there because she knows that my first action would likely be an upgrade, and I would tap down K2 with my Mando ability. So definitely good play here to use the value that you have on the board and get that damage in while you can. Yep, so pretty hard spot for me here. Probably going to drop the Captain Typho again. So I have, this turn is actually a pretty good turn for me. I have Captain Typho and the Electro Staff. So we'll have to see what we go here. Yep, shooting down the Electro Staff and tapping the Battlefield Marine. Really good play here to slow. Of course, I know I'm dropping down the Typho this turn, so I can potentially have that huge Electro Staff Sentinel on C-3PO. So she could take the 1 damage here with Cassian. It's possible, but I figured I'd mitigated most of her damage by tapping that Battlefield Marine. Dropping down the Red 3, one of the greatest cards in Red, especially Red Hero. And, of course, I am looking at an answer I do have in my hand. I have that Razor Crest in my hand. So that is a possibility for me to think about. Dropping down the Captain Typho, giving, of course, C-3PO Sentinel, stopping that 2 damage coming in from Cassian. Definitely worthwhile to do that. This is going to be a tight damage race. We are both going into the flip turn next turn, so things are about to heat up quick. So, yep, now she's thinking about claiming. of course. Probably best here for her to claim, or she could drop another 2-drop. Either or, I guess it really depends on the 2-drop that she drops here, if she drops one, because having initiative with that K2 to take out the Typho would be great. There are a lot of good things that having initiative would have, so we'll have to see what she ends up doing here. Paying the 2, dropping down a Gamorrean Guard. Great play here. Stopping the damage from her own base because the Battlefield Marine's going to give it Sentinel. So I know I have to kill it because it does have Sentinel with the Battlefield Marine, so I just take it out with C-3PO. Really good play there, to be honest with you. Drawing the jetpack by calling 2. Really good play by Cynthia there. That was very significant. Stopping that 3 damage onto her base seems small, but at this stage in the game, we're close. It's like a tug of war between damages right now. Dancing between tapping and sentineling and me pushing damage into the base. Things are about to get hot right now. Going into the 6th resource turn, this is the double deploy. Now, like I said, this Cassian deck Cynthia has been on since the beginning of the game. I think it is way more powerful than given credit for. Drawing cards in this game is very powerful, especially when you have draw engines. One of the detriments to timely intervention is, of course, that you run out of cards quickly, and you may not have the cards to support the timely interventions. You have the same problem with Poe, so it's difficult to run both Poes and timelies and all of these cards that burn cards from your hand. Well, Cassian can do that and also have staying power in the late game. So I do really like this deck. She plays it because she loves Cassian, but I do think it is actually very powerful. So, of course, going into the Captain Typho here with K2, a really great play here, getting the 1 Overwhelm from Red 3, taking my ability away to activate Sentinel, and likewise killing the K2 and adding an extra 3 damage to my base. A really strong play there, took a lot from me. Still having the Red 3, to be honest with you, I am not looking in the greatest of spots right now. I have some options, and I know I need to mitigate damage, so I'm thinking about the best ways that I can mitigate damage. And it looks like I might drop down. Yep, here comes the jetpack. The jetpack is going to save my C-3PO, and likewise tap down that Battlefield Marine. Now, probably the saddest thing about this play is I am 1 damage off of one-shotting Cassian on deploy. That is definitely a very sad thing. If this was the yellow R2 unit instead of C-3PO, I would be able to one-shot Cassian on deploy. That 1 power of C-3PO holding this deck back. It's in a tough spot. It's looking really good for Cynthia now, pushing in another 3 damage with Red 3 in space. She still has that 2 damage on Cassian, but I'm going to drop down the Kira, take a peek at the hand, and see what we're working with. So now I remember this distinctly, and I'll be honest, I have replayed this moment in my mind because, of course, Kira is a difficult card to use, and knowing what to name in this situation. Now, of course, Cynthia showing the timely and the Jessie, my immediate thought is she can timely Jessie into Kira and instantly answer Kira if she wanted, and then Jessie still survives. That is a huge play for her. So I think what I named was timely intervention, thinking that I would stop her ability to timely Jessie, and then likewise I would prevent any future ambushes on subsequent turns. We'll have to see if that call ends up playing out. Alternatively, I could have just named Jessie and either made her make a choice between playing Jessie or playing the For a Cause this turn. That was the other choice that I had. But we're going to see the Cassian deploy here, coming out strong, and then, of course, wanting to get that C-3PO damage in before he has a chance, she has a chance to take me out. Not that she would go through the shield with Saboteur, but I just want to get that damage in while I can. Likewise, going in for the 2 damage with Red 3 here, and we are likewise going to see the Mando deploy as well. So coming down to the wire here, both decks pushing out incredible amounts of damage. This is the flip turn, so pushing in a strong 5 damage with Cassian with red 3, and me responding with a 4 from Mando. Now I am very far behind, I'm not going to lie. It is 18 to 11. So also just keep in consideration that the 25 HP base is there. So technically it's a little closer. It's more, you could say it's like 16. Well, it was a little closer before this. For a Cause to Believe in, coming down like a hammer, revealing Wrecker for another For a Cause, and a Heroic Sacrifice. So sending the Gamorrean Guard to the bin, keeping the other 3 cards that I had just mentioned. Of course, Heroic Sacrifice, Wrecker, likely drawing the Heroic Sacrifice and Wrecker next turn, and saving the For a Cause. She could still draw it with Cassian, so she can dig pretty deep next turn. With that extra card draw. So not looking good for me, unless I have something to tap like 6 units. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, if I have something to tap like 5 units, that'd be great. But of course, Cynthia doing the high value play, me naming Timely Intervention, allowed her to use both For a Cause and Jesse this turn. Looking back, I do think calling Jesse was better there, so it made her make that choice and put less power on the board, but we'll have to see. This does put me in a really hard spot. Jesse is threatening 6 damage from red 3. Tons of damage is coming down. As we go into the 7th resource turn, this is surely the final actions of this game. Ready up, everyone. Get ready, because here it is. I don't think I have this. The math doesn't seem there to me. But to be honest, the Mando deck can push out a large number of damage. I have 2 Hotshot Blasters in my resource line right now, so we'll have to see how much damage it is that we're talking about. So yep, here we go. Here we go. The Hotshot Blaster firing out. Firing in for how much damage? 7 damage. Tapping down Jesse with Mando ability. 7 damage. Big hit here. Simultaneously giving the tempo of tapping down her best unit. That would have done 6 damage. So we'll have to see. Getting that call, not that it's relevant right now. Getting that 2-cost call. But then we'll have to see how this first match in this series ends up. Her at 18, so I need 7 damage to close out, and me at 21, so she needs 9 damage. Shooting out the Heroic Sacrifice for a big 7 damage with Cassian. One of the things that Cynthia learned from playing a lot in set 1 and doing so well, getting the top 8 at the Store Showdown, was sometimes you got to Heroic Sacrifice your leader. Sometimes you got to do it. And this is an instance where that is a great play, pushing an extra 2 damage, so a total of 7. Very strong here. Just ensuring that I have 0 breathing room, bringing me to 28, to her 18. 7 damage will end it. I do have that Hotshot Blaster in my resource line. However, lo and behold, that 1 damage from C-3PO again. I am 1 damage off from lethal with the Hotshot Blaster on Mando. Really unfortunate being 1 damage off at the end here. So I also have that perilous position in my hand that I could tap 2 units with. But Cassian still has the damage that he needs to end the game. So yep, there's the Hotshot Blaster on Mando. That would be 6, so it's 1 damage off the 7. Alternatively, I have the Perilous, but it doesn't matter because I know that she has the For a Cause in her hand. That was revealed earlier, and there it is going into game 2. So a good game 1, really close, although it looked good for Cynthia the whole game. Really close there at the end. Just kind of showing that C-3PO is definitely not the best play against aggro. I think it's always good to watch these match videos, especially if you play these decks and you play these decks to learn sequencing and learn when cards are good in some matchups and when cards are bad in some matchups. This matchup in particular, Red Hero into the Mandalorian, is particularly difficult because Poe is pretty much a hard counter to the equipment decks, especially when you talk about Cassian having continual drawing and fuel for that Poe. It almost is like she never runs out of gas. And I tell her that all the time, playing this Cassian deck, how using the idea that you don't run out of gas to your advantage in these kind of mid-range matchups or these aggressive matchups, like playing the control game against your opponent, you know that you're gonna likely be able to grind them out with Cassian because you have the Saboteur and you have the card draw to end the game. So I love this deck. I think it's a great deck. She's been playing it very well for a long time. And I always it's funny because I make changes to my decks after we're done playing, and she really helps me out, so I appreciate how we play at home sometimes. So starting out here with the Crafty Smuggler, much better play here. Dropping down the Jyn Urso and then me immediately claiming. Definitely not a good play. I think Cynthia did mulligan once, so this was her mulliganed hand. I remember her telling me she only had Jyn as her turn 1 play here. So unfortunate that this is it. Like, this is all she had. So obviously going to take out the Jyn Urso with the Crafty Smuggler. Free of charge there. Get some free value starting out immediately in a great spot here on my side of things. So shooting out the A-Wing, we'll have to see if she can use that one resource, but she likely will be able to get initiative against me because I am then dropping down my play. Yep, and she's going to claim, and then we're going to go to the next round. So we'll have to see if Captain Typho is able to do anything in this game. So far, he did save me about 3 to 6 damage in the previous game. But then he got ECL'd by K2, which is just sad when it happens. So we'll have to see if the ECL K2 is coming again. So Cynthia has initiative. ECL is live. What are we going to see come out here? It looks like in my hand I do have a 2-cost R2. I also have an Enfys Nest. So that Enfys Nest is looking pretty juicy to discard with that R2. So, yeah, oh, there it is, the classic play, shooting out the Energy Conversion Lab on K2 for the 2 damage. Really great play here. And then doing the Snapshot Reflex. Great play here. Snapshot Reflex is 3 damage into the base and tap down the A-Wing. Great tempo play here. She did burn her ECL, but I am going to take that 3 damage and have no return damage from the V-Wing. So very interesting there. She is going to claim initiative, and then I'm going to drop down my R2, dropping down that Enfys Nest and grabbing, I think I grabbed Electro Staff there with the R2. Going into this next round now, things are looking pretty even. I do have 3 damage on her base, to her no damage on my base, so pretty looking good for me. Of course, she is likely going to have to swing with that K2 because if she doesn't swing with K2, of course my first action is going to be to exhaust that K2, and she knows that, having played this matchup enough. So ECL has been burned, and so we will not see the Poe ECL this turn. But we'll have to see what she ends up doing with those 5 resource. Her classic 2-drop, 3-drop play on 5. You love it. I love it. Everybody loves it. So I do have a key Addimundi in my hand. Depending on how this round goes, we'll have to see if I drop down that key Addimundi. because putting down all those stats on the board may be the way to go. Shooting in the K2 into the Crafty, getting the 1 Overwhelm, and then likewise getting the 3 damage to base, starting this base race off strong here. So I do like how Cynthia is choosing to do 3 damage to the base. One of the things that she has been learning a lot lately, and is a very difficult thing to do with the red decks, is knowing when to discard with K2 versus knowing when to do the damage. She knows that this is a damage race between us, and we are going to be fighting for damage the entire game, firing in the 2 damage from R2 here, taking that chip damage as I can. So, yeah, she knows that this is a damage race between us, so taking that 3 damage is definitely the way to go. Shooting in another 3 damage to my base, getting me up to 7 compared to her 5. So we both still have all of our resources up, which is kind of silly, but we'll have to see what ends up coming out. I think I am going to fully commit to the Ki-Adi Mundi play, knowing that I'm not going to see the ECL Poe to instantly answer him for 8 damage, which is always a sad boy play when you play down your big unit, and then Big Boy Poe comes in and just deals 8 damage to whatever it wants. Always sad, but we'll have to see what is done in response here. For a Cause to Believe in, one of Cynthia's favorite cards, revealing a heavy, which is one of the greatest cards that red decks have gotten in the new set. That's 7 damage. Coming in strong, getting 3 pings, wondering what she's going to end up sending to the bin. So it looks like she's keeping the Sundari Peacekeeper and the heavy on the top. She must have a timely intervention in her hand if she's keeping that heavy. But yep, getting the 3 damage, and then likewise I'm going to claim to get the first action with my Ki-Adi Mundi, and then dropping down Sabine Wren then likewise. So here we go. Here we go again. The flip. The flip turn. This is when we are going to go and push in critical mass. Even though I did a pretty good job controlling Cynthia so far, she has still pushed in a significant amount of damage. Now, granted, 3 of that damage is from For a Cause. So we'll have to see. I do have a big, bad Ki-Adi Mundi staring down the field right now. So I know her only option to one-shot Ki-Adi would be a timely Poe. So I'm going to drop down the Electrostaff on Ki-Adi Mundi, making him a 7/9, -1 when attacking. So that way, if Cynthia wanted to do the crazy Poe play, also tapping down Sabine, that way if Cynthia wanted to do the crazy Poe play, she would have to actually burn 4 cards in total. That would be Poe, the timely, and 2 cards to destroy the equipment and do 2 damage to Ki-Adi Mundi. That would be a huge investment from her and pretty much take her out for the rest of the game. So I didn't think that she was going to burn all of that into 1 unit. That's why I started with the Electrostaff. One of the things I do love about Electrostaff is how it stops your opponent from stopping you to be able to push damage. Firing in the 3 damage here. Oh, and well, that's not right. That 3 damage should have gone onto my base. It was late. One of the things about Star Wars Unlimited at home is that there will be misplays. It happens, but we'll have to see if that 3 damage matters. Pushing in 7 damage here with Ki-Adi Mundi. So we'll keep track of that extra 3 damage that I accidentally added to her base. That was my fault. I apologize. So right now she should be at 12 instead of the 15 that she is at right now. And I should be at 13. So 6 resource up on Cynthia's turn. This is the double flip turn. What are we going to see come out? Lots of options here. I do still have the 2 damage from R2 up. And then likewise, we are both going to see flips. Yeah, of course, she can still timely Poe. That's still an option. We are going to see the flip here, which is actually a really good play by Cynthia. Getting Cassian on board prior to me flipping is a great play, because if I had another equipment, I could tap him down with Mando ability, since Cassian only has 6 HP. So great here by Cynthia, getting Cassian on board prior to me getting Mando on board. The Sentinel doesn't matter because, of course, pushing in that 4 damage with Saboteur and then firing in my 2 damage as well. Giving Sentinel to my Ki Adi-Mundi just ensures that we are not going to see any weird timely plays, because I know that Ki Adi can take even an attack, a full attack from Wrecker. So we'll have to see what comes down. Cynthia is going to fire down the Wrecker here, destroy a resource to deal 5 damage to Ki Adi-Mundi. Great play here, putting pressure on Ki Adi-Mundi, and then likewise ensuring that she can kill Ki Adi-Mundi next turn and take away a lot of damage. We're going to see the deploy, and then I assume Cynthia is going to respond with a claim. Yep, claiming here, taking that 4 damage. Getting Cynthia to 21. Now again, she should be at 18. So that is worthy to note. She should be at 18. I should be at 17. So we'll have to see going into this turn if it matters. Drawing into the Fell the Dragon there, interesting, because that could potentially answer Wrecker if she would not attack with Wrecker on her first action. So I think, me at 17, even if she surprise strikes Wrecker, that's 28. And then I kill her with Ki Adi-Mundi on first action for 7 damage. Because even if she was at 18, Ki Adi still kills her in 1 hit. So, and then being that Mando is on the field, if she doesn't swing with Wrecker, I tap Wrecker with a Mando ability. So I feel like the only option here is to swing with Wrecker first. And then either way, I think that ends with Cynthia's death, because Ki Adi kills her. If she goes Wrecker into Ki Adi, maybe? Yeah, hard to say there. So she ended up scooping, and I apologize for the misplays. That was an extremely close game. I did also have Perilous Position in my hand, so we would have had to see that play out if the damage was different. I think she only would have did 2 damage if she attacked Ki Adi-Mundi with Wrecker, losing the Wrecker in the process. Then I could have answered with Perilous Position and do a double tap. So we would have had to have played it out and see. Not sure what would have happened there. But really, really close games. These are great. Commander at Home. Not Commander at Home, not sponsored. Hey, shout out. Brian Keebler and Olivia. If you want to sponsor SWU at Home, please reach out. But yes, so here we go again, going into game 3. This is 1-1. Seeing a Poe and a K2 in hand, starting out with Cynthia. My side, we have that C3PO again as my turn 1 play. Not great. Not what I want to see going into this obvious fast aggro match, especially me on the back burner here. She's going to get that 3 damage in with Sabine immediately. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. Drawing into 2 perilous positions. We'll have to see if I can use that to my advantage and then be able to slow her down enough. So 2 perilous positions. We got a snapshot. We also have an Ezra. So firing in the Sabine here, dealing 3 damage to the base. Cannot see, and yeah, I almost put the damage on her base again. It's late. I'm glad I caught it there, thankfully. Getting the card draw with C3PO, just helping you resource. That's the thing about C3PO in the early stages of the game. It helps you hit your resource drops and helps you be able to pivot 2 different ways. The Mando deck often struggles, whether you always want a balance of units and equipment in your hand, so you can go both ways depending on what your opponent does. Dropping down the Ezra and then seeing the Sundari Peacekeeper from her. Sundari Peacekeeper, just one of the best stat sticks and damage potentials that this deck has. Dropping on 3, that 5 damage swing for the Raid 2 and the Restore 2. Crazy powerful card that green hero got. So going into this turn, are we going to see the ECL K2 that we know that she has? She loves ECL and K2. ECL and K2 is a great play. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's funny because I think after having faced 3 ECL K2s... Is this about to be the 3rd ECL K2? After facing 3 ECL K2s, I actually ended up oh no, we're not going to see the ECL K2. She's actually going to save the ECL 4 Poe, I think, this game. Good play on her. Knowing how strong Poe is in this matchup, just showing the how many reps Cynthia has on this game, this deck, showing that she can also slow play in times where it's beneficial for her to do so. Dropping down Captain Typho, giving a C3PO Sentinel, just ensuring to protect my Ezra from the potential ECL K2, and then also stop Sundari Peacekeeper from attacking my base. So I do love Captain Typho. I think Captain Typho... this would get even better if I had that 2-2 shielded, because the 2-2 shielded would actually just take 2 unit shots like a champ. So if I would have opened with either a Crafty Smuggler or a L3, it would have been even better for me. Just hard playing the K2, not ECLing. Great play, again, saving that... the ECL for the Poe that's about to come. So doing the snapshot here, great play. Yep, I think this is a good play here. Taking out the K2 is what you want to do. Taking out the K2 is what you want to do. Yep, so hitting that 4 damage with the snapshot, not getting Mando tapping, but just don't want to deal with the K2. Yeah, especially if I'm trying to slow her down. I need to slow her down. There's 2 perilous positions in my hand, so I feel like if I slow play her, I could potentially win. But we're going to see that ECL Poe come out next turn like a force, so we'll have to see if we can do anything to stop that. Drawing into 2 Kiras. So, potentially, if she doesn't open with the ECL Poe, I can Kira Poe. But we're going to have to see if Cynthia falls into my trap of the Kira. So, Captain Typho, of course, a great card that blue hero got in this set. But doesn't help when it goes into the next phase. So we are seeing here the ECL Poe into Captain Typho, taking out Captain Typho, and then likewise discarding 1 card to do the 2 damage ping to Ezra, and then just clearing the field. The double unit kill is huge here. Huge value tempo swing. Only 2 damage on the Poe. Very tough there. Seeing the 3, I'm assuming, yep, we're going to see the perilous position come out. Whether or not, I think that's probably a good play because it is saving me 6 damage this turn. It would have been nice to do it on Poe, but again, can't really. If I could kill Poe, maybe getting the draw with the Electro Staff. And then shooting down the L337, the Shielded Sentinel that we wanted to see earlier. Then again, honestly, it might not have been the best play. C3PO might have been better because Sabine takes out Crafty Smuggler free of charge. So, yeah, it wasn't best. Like, R2 is always this deck's best turn 1 play, I feel. I think I'm coming to find that the 2-4 is the best thing for this deck starting out. So if any more 2-4s end up coming out that this deck can play, it's only going to increase the power of the Mando deck moving forward. So this is it right here. This is probably the final turn. Every game so far has been decided on this flip turn. What are we going to see? She loves this card. The Adelphi Patrol Wing. Having initiative, firing in with Poe, discarding a card, and then hitting for a total of 10 damage. Just a powerhouse. Not even dealing, not even thinking about it. Don't even worry. Do 10 damage. Does anything else matter? I don't think anything else matters. Doing 3 for Captain Typho, giving C-3PO Sentinel classic play. It's almost a meme at this point. I'm kind of laughing watching this video back. After taking 10 damage to the face with the Adelphi, just responding with a 1-4 Sentinel seems funny to me. Doing the perilous position on the deploy turn for Cassian, and then likewise tapping Sabine to save 1 damage on my base. I figured she would actually end up swinging in to take out the C-3PO. She would have gotten an extra damage from Sabine ping on the base, and then likewise gotten 2 heal. But no, she's going to claim initiative here, and then I'm going to take out Poe with Mando. Pretty much my only path to victory is to take out Poe, because Poe just does way too much damage. I have the ground arena locked down, but that space arena is scary. And taking another 3 damage, getting another Electro Staff draw. So I don't know if I can come back from this. That 10 damage from Poe was so much. Like, Poe coming down, taking out 2 units, then getting the 10 damage to the face. Just showing the power of Poe when you have unlimited cards to be able to discard. And then the Adelphi Patrol Wing. Not a lot of people are playing it. Cynthia's really hard on it. She loves ECLing it, like when the opponent goes heavy space and they have a lot of space units. It does kill like Falcon. It kills like Punishing One and things like that. So there are a lot of space units that the Adelphi can take out in an ECL and then likewise do that 10 damage Poe play that we just saw. So crazy. I would almost call this game over. We do have double Electro Staff in my hand, so if somehow, some way, I am able to survive, I have 19, so 11 left on my base. Both the Sundari Peacekeeper and Cassian have -2/-2, so we'll have to see what ends up coming out. So resourcing up to 7, which is a little scary for me, knowing that I'm looking in her hand. She has Timely Wrecker in her hand. That is pretty much game, I would say. Yep, here comes the Timely. At the edge of the screen there, the Timely into the Wrecker. Yep, tons of damage. Now, I think originally she was going to attack Captain Typho with Wrecker, but I let her know that Mando only has 1 HP left, so if she would attack Mando with Wrecker, she would do 6 damage to my base instead of only dealing 3 damage to my base with killing Captain Typho. So definitely the better play there to do the more damage, getting me up to 25. Yes, Wrecker does take a little bit more damage in the process. 2 more damage from Mando. Not that that matters because she has me killed 10 ways towards Sunday. I don't even have a tap anymore because my Mando leader is taken out. So, and this is pretty much game, showing the power of Timely, showing the power of Wrecker, and Poe Dameron. So thank you all for joining. Please hit that like button if you like this video. Hit subscribe for all the best commentary and gaming guides. And as always, turn your dial to Random Number Gaming.